if you don't actually go and put in the time, you're just not going to get your return of investment. I just think you should go out there and actually practice with intent.
All right, guys, welcome to another episode of The Report. Today, we are in the studio here in downtown San Diego, and we got a little overcast layer outside, and we got a busy week ahead of us. I know the team and I will be heading down to Cabo tomorrow with our mastermind group, our boutique hotel mastermind retreat for 4 nights down there in Cabo. And we're excited to be closing out another hotel deal in the next week. So pumped for that. But I'm even more pumped for our guest today. I got a man who is engaged to my niece, and he is a professional pickleball player, number 15th ranked pickleball player in the world right now. I got my man, DJ Young. DJ, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Rich. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you coming down. Dude, you guys are up in Carlsbad. You're engaged to my niece. Congrats on the baby. You guys are expecting in what, about a month from now?
Yes, yeah, she's due April 1st.
Okay.
We just moved back to Carlsbad / Poinsettia, and we're living in a 3-bed, 2-bath apartment out there, and we're really happy to be back in California.
Dude, that's exciting. And you
Yeah.
actually, fun fact, you grew up out in Italy, right?
Spain.
Spain.
Yeah.
Dude, tell me about that.
Yeah, grew up in Spain, basically a very small town inside of like Valencia. It was called Burriana. Grew up there, born and raised there, grew up there until the age of 13. Once I turned 13, we moved to the United States. So we moved to Oceanside. And then I ended up moving to Austin a couple of years ago, and now I'm back in California.
Now you're back, man. San Diego's not a bad place to be. Obviously, we got great weather here, and you playing pickleball, it's probably conducive, right? Because the weather's good and you can play a little bit more year-round.
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of places out there that have like indoor pickleball courts.
Mhm.
So a lot of the time is weather doesn't matter too much. But
Gotcha.
obviously living in San Diego and being in California helps a lot. Never having to look at the weather report, to go play some pickleball. It's
Mhm.
definitely a good thing.
Dude, pickleball's been like a trending thing. We have a pickleball court at my luxury rental Airbnb in Scottsdale. And we just put the pickleball court in the listing title, and our
Mhm.
revenue went up like 35%. just having that alone. And then one of the hotels that we closed on in December up in Washington, it has like some extra landscaping that's like just grass. And so we're going to actually convert and put in 2 pickleball courts up at that hotel. So excited to kind of see how that does with the revenue, but it's such a trending thing. And this is all I feel like I never really heard of pickleball until 2 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, it's I've been playing for a long time. So I started playing in 2018. So it's been going around. I think the Pro Tour came out in like during COVID. And so we've been playing professional pickleball for a couple of years now. Then Major League Pickleball came through a couple of years ago too. And then, a lot of the professional athletes in pickleball, we've just been kind of grinding ever since, playing a lot of the weekends, 30 weeks out of the year. And, just kind of training all year round. So, but definitely in the past couple of years, been a lot more booming, every court in Arizona that you can see in any park, it's just absolutely so busy. So yeah, lately it's been extremely like just popping.
Yeah.
For sure.
So how does it work? So I see all these like athletes and bigger name folks investing into pickleball franchises like LeBron James, for example. Kind of explain to me how the pickleball works and these different leagues and that sort of thing.
Yeah. So basically, right now you have 2 different tours. So one of them is the PPA, the other one's the APP. They're both professional tours. I guess a little confusing. And then you have, on top of that, you have MLP, which is Major League Pickleball, which is more of a team event. And
Okay.
like you mentioned, LeBron James invested in that. Pretty sure Mark Cuban did too. There's a lot of very wealthy, smart people that invested in pickleball, specifically Major League Pickleball. And now, at the end of February, you had PPA and MLP merge. So I believe they're under one entity now. So now they work together under the same umbrella. And APP is on the other side, working by themselves, doing their own thing. So outside of that, yeah, it's basically PPA, MLP together, and you just have APP doing their own thing, kind of running like very similar style tournaments as PP and MLP would.
Got it. And so how does it work like in terms of like season? So you guys get signed like as a free agent. Do you have long-term contracts like 2-3 years, or what does that look like from a contract perspective?
Yeah, so from a contract perspective, I personally signed with MLP.
Okay.
So when I signed with MLP last year in 2023, I signed for 3 years. So I'm contracted with MLP until 2027, I believe. And so at the beginning of 2024, it hasn't happened yet, but they're gonna have a draft. You get your number one pick, and every team kind of, I think it's a snake draft, I'm pretty sure.
Hmm.
And then they're going to have a premier and challenger. So it'll be 12 teams in premier, 12 teams in challenger, I believe. And they'll have a snake draft. And then it'll be two guys and two girls in each team, I believe. And then on the other side, you have the endorsement type of deal. So I'm sponsored by Head Pickleball Shoes, Engage Pickleball Paddles, and Stack Clothing Athletics. So, outside of your deal, whether you're PPA or MLP, then you have your own sponsorships on the side as well.
Yeah. And I know, like with the bigger sports, NBA, NFL, a lot of the bigger name players, they can actually make a lot more in endorsements than they can with their actual contracts. Similar in pickleball, I believe, right?
In pickleball right now, I would say you make more out of your contracts than you do prize money. So
Okay.
there's a lot of prize money in tennis. I believe in tennis, for example, if Novak Djokovic wins the Australian Open, which is a major, I think he
Hmm.
gets about 3 million.
Mm.
If I win a major, I'm nowhere near that.
Yeah.
You
So
know.
these tournaments, what does the winner typically get for prize money?
So it depends. If you're a PPA signed player, I believe you get 100% of the winnings. And honestly, I don't know what that looks like right now. But if you're not a PPA signed player, you get 50% of that prize money.
Hmm.
But then again, I don't know the actual number. But I wouldn't say it's more than like 4,000.
Okay. You've won some stuff though, right?
I won some stuff. I haven't won a tournament in over a year.
Okay.
I've gotten a couple bronze medals
Nice.
in 2023, which it's obviously not winning, but
Yeah.
it's not too bad either.
No, that's good.
Gotta stay
And
positive,
dude,
bro.
and you're only 23, man. So 23, you're in the top 15. Like you're just getting warmed up, dude. You know, I mean, look at Tyson McGuffin. He's like closer to my age, I
Mhm.
believe. But you're just getting warmed up at 23.
Right now, I'm practicing very hard. I'm training very hard. I'm working on the physical aspect of things. I'm also working on the mental side of things.
Hmm.
And so, I think there's still a couple years out there for me to really hit my peak.
Your prime, yeah.
My prime. So yeah, I just kind of working hard every day, trying to make myself better every day, and I'm hoping that one of these days in the next couple of years I hit my peak and I can compete at the highest level.
Yep. And dude, I love all the content you're putting out there, man. I encourage all the listeners to go shoot you a follow at DJ Young PB on Instagram. I'm curious, man, what does a training routine look like for you, ideally as a pickleball player?
From a standpoint of daily routine, when I'm at home, I usually wake up around 5 a.m. I try to be at the gym by 6, and that workout usually starts with weights. So I'll do sort of a push, pull, legs sort of routine. Then I'll take a break, probably half an hour to an hour, eat some food. And then my second workout will be a lot more cardio, plyometrics, footwork, speed, agility sort of workout. That'll be another hour or so. And then take another break, eat some food, hydrate. And the last thing I'll do is play pickleball for a couple hours, whether it's drilling one-on-one or whether it's playing games, 2 versus 2. And as far as training, that's kind of like as much as I'll do in a day. But then on the other side, you have obviously hydration, you have recovery, stretching, you have obviously eating the right food.
Mhm.
You don't want to be
Yeah.
eating too many pancakes.
No, definitely. I think nutrition is a big part of anything. I'm curious, man, because like I grew up skateboarding and playing basketball, so it's a lot of wear and tear on your body, and that's why I've always admired all these athletes, especially people like LeBron James, who's been playing at that level for 20 plus years. Which is crazy. Just the amount of wear and tear on your body is insane. I mean, I remember getting like shin splints and all these aches and pains just when I was young. And so maybe talk a little bit about that. I mean, you guys are playing every single day. You're training sometimes twice a day. Because I'm sure you wake up sometimes you're like, fuck, my body doesn't feel good. How do you guys push through that?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm 23, and last year was the first year that I was waking up with aches and pains. I still believe I was young enough that, I would just recover everything overnight. Like something hurts, the next day I feel pretty good,
Mhm.
But last year was a little rough. I started having some wrist issues. I started having some back pain issues. And there's also like these little things here and there, like you wake up and like your side hurts. Like, why does it hurt? Or like, you might have a blister from training, like
Mhm.
things like that. But the best way to navigate that, in my opinion, is just kind of knowing that your opponents are going through the same thing. So
Mm.
nobody's really ever at 100%. But whether you have 70%, 80% in your tank, just using that to the best, capability that you can, and that's the best that you can possibly do. Just getting prepared for that. But there's never gonna you're just never gonna feel 100%. Like it's just not possible.
Does a lot of the pain go away when you step onto the court and let's say it's a big match and you got crowd, you got people in the stands watching, the TV cameras are on. Does it numb a lot of the pain temporarily?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I don't think so. I think it's definitely there, especially if it's something that has been bothering you for a while now, like my wrist has been. So it's always in the back of your mind. That said, it is true. Like if you have a blister, for example, and it's wrapped up and things like that, and then once you get done, take the band-aid out. Like you're gonna have a hard time walking for a little while.
Yeah.
But I don't think the adrenaline of when you're playing like numbs it.
Mhm.
You might forget about it at times, but then you step wrong and it's still there.
Yeah. I got a question for you, man. So, like, obviously, up until a few years ago, a lot of folks never heard of pickleball, myself included. But now, because it's been this big mainstream like thing, and all these people are like coming out there playing. I mean, I got friends that never touched pickleball court before, and now they're
Hmm.
going out there trying to get me out to go
Yeah.
to go play. And I would say like for the average person, if you're like somewhat athletic, it's relatively easy to like learn the rules and kind of like pick it up and be like good enough to go out and like run some games. But obviously, to get to your level, it's a whole nother threshold. But I guess my question is, since it became mainstream over the last couple of years, have you seen a big rise in the level of competition at the professional level?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And yeah, absolutely. 2 years ago, back in 2022, I would play a tournament and I don't think I would even warm up for like my first match. Like I would take my first couple rounds of the tournament, like whether it's first round, second round, maybe even the third round, and just kind of like ease through it, get worn throughout those matches, and then it's quarterfinals. Now it's serious. Right now, 2 years later, it's extremely difficult to even win a qualifier round. Like you have people that are amazing in the qualifiers that sometimes don't make it because luck of the draw. You get someone that's even tougher than you are, and you don't get through that tournament. Fortunately for me, a lot of the times I'm in the main draw already because of my ranking, so that helps. But yeah, like now, first thing you do, you wake up in the morning is you drink water, you go to the gym, you get loose, you do your warm up routine, blah blah blah, just so you can be ready for the first round because anything could happen now.
Mm.
Yeah.
You said you're in the main draw because you're ranked. What does that mean?
Yeah, main draw means that you have the qualifiers and then you have the main draw. So the qualifier people will have to play matches to get to the main draw, this in the same tournament. So main draw is once the real tournament starts, and the qualifiers are the one that need to win their matches first to get there. So because of my ranking, because I'm ranked a little higher, my points automatically get me into the main draw.
If you love real estate investing, passive income, and tax benefits, but don't have the time, my company, Summers Capital, is buying boutique hotels right now. We source the deals, we renovate the properties, and we even handle all the day-to-day management, making it truly hands-off for our investors. If you want to learn more to see if we can help you, visit summerscapital.com/invest to book a call with our team. Again, that's summerscapital.com/invest. Now back to the show. Yeah, so it's funny because we were talking about Tyson. I was talking to Tyson a little bit about potentially doing a podcast with him. He was out here in Newport Beach a while back, and we were gonna try to rip a pod. It didn't happen, but I understand you got into a little, was it a shouting match with Tyson a little while back? Do you guys do a lot of shit talking out there on the court?
Yeah, I mean, there's always some sort of shit talking. I personally go through phases. I don't have an issue with Tyson. At the time, basically what happened was we were playing a match in Newport. I thought he was maybe hitting some shots that were not very ethical,
Mm.
and I was playing with Zane Navratil at the time, and he hit a shot to me, and I made contact really well. And as I was hitting the ball, I said never, as in like you couldn't do that to me. And he used to get a little too personally, and then
What's a shot that's like maybe a little below the belt? Like, give me an example of what that might be.
you just kind of take. like taking a shot, going like really hard at someone's like face, for example, right? Because you're so close to each other. Like obviously you can try to go for people, and that's a good strategy. But there's sometimes where like if there's like zero intention of hitting the ball in, and
Mm,
your intention is to like maybe hurt the other
got
person,
it.
and I'm not saying that's what he was doing, but sometimes it might feel that way.
Yeah.
Then I think that's probably going a little bit over the line. But it's a super fair strategy to go at someone's body.
Yeah.
But when it's just a wild swing at someone's face, then I think it's a little
And so you
unethical.
returned it right back at him and you said never?
Yes, and then I hit it back as a winner, and I said never. But we're fine. Like, a couple weeks later, he texted me and said, he shouldn't have said anything, and it was fine. Like, it's
You
not a
said
big deal.
he took it personal. What did he do?
Well, he went on to his podcast and talked about it.
Got it,
Call
got it.
me, I think, called me like childish or something.
Damn.
I don't know, something like that.
Yeah.
But we're totally fine. I don't take it personal. It's part of the game. Some people get heated. Obviously, I'm not gonna apologize for something that I did, and I thought it was right by saying never. But yeah, it is what it is.
Who's the best shit talker in the game?
I think Hayden Patriquin is really, really funny.
Yeah, how come?
He's like 18 years old. He's very little. He's very good, very fast, very witty. So, you'll say something to him on the court. He'll speed it up at you. You hit a winner back. You'll be like, why would you do that? And he'll be like, come on, man, grow up. And the guy's like 18. He's just really funny.
I think I've seen this guy play before. He's like shorter guy, white guy. He's on the come up, right?
Well, he was on the come up last year, and now he's just like, he's playing really well. He's very good. He's been premier in MLP both times. He's been doing really well. He's an amazing kid. But for example, there was an incident that happened at San Clemente MLP,
Okay.
where he was playing Matt Wright and Lucy Cavalova, I think, in mixed, and he won a point and told Matt Wright to fuck off,
Damn.
which is just really funny. But no, he's very, very talented.
What's the ideal size physically to like be a really good pickleball player? Because you're pretty tall. You're what, 6'2", 6'3"?
Yeah, I'm probably 6'2". I would say ideally you don't want to be too tall, because the ball doesn't bounce very much. And so once the ball bounces, you're at a disadvantage. So you don't want to be too tall. But I would say anywhere between 5'11" to 6'2" is really good. Because, you're not super tall, but you're not short. But then you want to have like long arms so you can reach and do certain things other people can't do with shorter arms. And then you probably want to stay lean, because the leaner you are, the faster muscle twitch you have usually. So you want to be tall, lanky, and thin, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I'm tall and thick.
Yeah. And you got some swag, man. You're always looking stylish. You're charismatic. You always ask me all the good questions, dude. And so I'm excited for you to start your own podcast, man.
No, thank you. I appreciate that. That said, though, I do have a question for you.
Okay.
So,
What do you got?
I'm really curious about what's the best thing of being Rich Summers, and what's the worst thing of being Rich Summers?
Oh, dude, we're flipping the podcast here. I would say the best thing is I'm surrounded by a lot of really amazing people, and I'm lucky to have all these amazing folks in my life, whether it's my team, our investors, friends, family. I have a lot of really great people in my life. And in order to get here, that was not always the case. I had to cut off certain relationships that were not conducive with where I was going tomorrow. So I would say that's the best thing. You said the least favorite thing?
The least
Ooh.
favorite thing. Let's hear it.
I would say least favorite thing, man, would be just the constant, it's part of the game. And I would say as much as it's my least favorite thing, it's like the constant things that pop up every single week as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, the unknowns, the things that we can't control. For example, our hotel here in San Diego getting flooded out, right? There was the most rain San Diego's seen in 44 years. And, that's unfortunate, but these things are out of our control. And, as an entrepreneur, I'm learning it's part of the game, and it's how you react to it. But I would probably say all the unknowns that happen, because it's like, we can prepare ourselves. We can do everything we can to make sure that we're prepared for all these situations, but you can't prepare for everything. And I think embracing the unknown and realizing, hey, no matter what happens to us, like, we have the confidence, we have the team, we have the resources to figure it out and push through and get to that next level. And so as much as I think that's like, it's uncomfortable, it's like I also know that things get uncomfortable before the level up.
Yeah, absolutely. And going back to the first question, as your favorite thing, and basically your answer was people.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Who are you the most grateful for?
If I had to pick one person?
One person.
Oh, that's a good question.
and why?
Mm, I would probably have to say, Alex Johnson on the team.
Okay.
She's been with me from the beginning, and she understands me probably better than anyone in my life. She does a lot for us, and I know she's my ride or die. She'll be with me to the end, and we're one of the top, man. So I would have to say, I'm most grateful for her.
Yeah, that's very cool. And how did you come across Alex?
We actually met back in 2019. I was actually setting up a Airbnb, one of my first Airbnbs, actually out here in San Diego. And I was living on the property for a couple months. I was kind of setting it up, and she was living across the street, and she'd always come out walk her dog. And so I said, "What's up?" Said hi, and I invited her out for a drink. Went out, and then ever since then we were friends. And so a couple years ago, when I started Summers Capital, got her over, and it's been great working together.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. I do have one more question.
Okay, go ahead. This is the last one though.
Yeah, the last one. Who was Rich Summers before Rich Summers now?
Mm.
So what was Rich Summers like before real estate?
Yeah, so man, I was an air traffic controller for 11 years before I got into real estate investing, and I didn't know entrepreneurship. I didn't know real estate investing. I didn't know it was like a possibility. And so I was literally just going in and working this job, working radar scopes as an air traffic controller. Telling the planes where to go, and it was a fun career, and I enjoyed it. But I got to a point maybe 8 years in out of the 11 where I started to feel empty. I started to feel unfulfilled. I started to feel like I needed more out of life. And that was when I overheard a coworker of mine in the break room talking about how he just closed on a fourplex in Cleveland. And I was like, dude, teach me how you did that. But, I was a really shell of who I am today. I was, trading my time for money outside of the workplace. I would go out a lot. I was going out, hanging out at the bars. I was partying. I didn't have the same growth mindset that I have today. And I would say since I've completely repositioned my life the last 5 years, I've grown more in these last 5 years than I did the 33 years before that. But I think my biggest takeaway looking back is, because a lot of folks might look at you, oh, you're in your mid 30s. It's a little bit late to like reposition or reinvent yourself. And I think my biggest takeaway is like, dude, I'm 38 now, and I feel like we're just getting warmed up. And everything that we've done in the last handful of years has been great. But I'm like, this is not the end game for us. Like, there's so much more. And I think my biggest takeaway looking back is like, it's never too late to reinvent yourself at any point of your life. And I think, move to get to the next level, we're going to have to continue to reinvent ourselves, continue to get better, continue to hire good people. And I think it all starts with good people and good team members.
Yeah, very cool. Thanks for
Yeah.
sharing that, bro.
Yeah, dude, of course,
That's
man.
awesome.
You always ask all the good questions. I know offline you've been, talking to me a little bit about starting your own podcast. Tell me a little bit about what that might look like for you.
Yeah, obviously, we gone to dinners a couple times and we always have a good time. I find you really interesting and I want to learn more, and I'm always curious about people, and I like people and I just want to learn about them. And obviously after I talked to you that one dinner, and you brought up me having my own podcast, I'm really looking forward to finding some sort of studio, maybe a little bit closer to me out in Carlsbad. And maybe creating the studio at the house. I'm not sure yet. And then I'm planning on having Golden Tate as my first guest.
I love that.
I already talked to him. We're good friends. We work out together often. We play some pickleball together.
Nice.
And so it would be really cool to have him as, my good friend and pickleball buddy,
Mhm.
and obviously a really good football player, come to be my first guest in my podcast.
Yeah, Golden Tate's a stud, man. He played a lot of his playing years with Detroit Lions, right?
I believe so.
Also, I believe Pro Bowl wide receiver. Does he live in San Diego?
Yeah, so he lives in Rancho. He actually lives in Rancho Santa
Okay.
Fe. But I believe he's moving to Nashville in
Mm.
June. So he's going to be here for a couple more months, and we're making the most out of it, working out, playing pickleball, texting back and forth, sharing some ideas. He's working on his logo quite a bit, and, I'm trying to not help him because I'm not a logo person, right? But just
Yeah.
kind of getting together and trying to help him out a little bit. So yeah, it's been good so far.
Yeah. How do you guys know each other?
Basically pickleball.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Just
He
running pickleball games or what?
yeah, he loved pickleball, and I happened to be decently good at pickleball, and we just
Mhm.
kind of, hung out one day, played some pickleball, and I think personalities just matched. He's super outgoing, super humble, really easy to talk to, and I'm also easy to talk to,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
believe. So yeah,
you
we
are.
just we just got along really well, and we just been hanging out and texting ever since.
Dude, that's cool, man. I like that. So I'm curious, man, like from as a professional pickleball player, obviously the sport is evolving, it's growing really quickly, and I think where it's going to be 5 years from now is going to be way different. The landscape from what it is today, I think there's going to be a lot more money involved. But I know a lot of the listeners are curious, from a pickleball perspective, as like a like top 10, top 15 player. What does the pay scale kind of look like for a lot of these players out there? And obviously throw in some of the endorsement money as well.
Yeah, so I think it's extremely worth for somebody to pursue pickleball right now, and I think it's been worth it for a couple of years. I'm 23 now. When I was 21, I was already making a little bit over six figures, just playing pickleball. Last year I made the numbers is a little rough, huh? I'm opening up here. But last year, for example, I made over 200 a year. This year, it's on its way to being over three.
Love that.
So it's been very good because at 21 it was one, at 22 it was two, at 23 it was now it's gonna be like over three. So I mean, I think it's a really, really good gig
Yeah.
personally.
How much can like the top couple players in the world? What can they make in terms of like everything all in endorsements and prize money, all that stuff, contract money?
Yeah, I mean, as far as like Ben and Anna Lee goes, which is like, cream of the top of the best players in the world by far. I mean, they're got to be in at least a million now, at least. And obviously, that's very good money, especially for pickleball,
Hmm.
because, I hope that everyone does what they love for a living, but it's really hard not to love pickleball. And it's just super fun. So for you to come out there, play some pickleball, and make a million, it sounds
Yeah.
pretty good,
Yeah.
So
How does that compare to like pro tennis players?
money wise,
Yeah.
money wise is not close.
It's not.
It's not close.
What do the top tennis players make annually in ballpark?
Oh my God. I don't know, but I looked up at Jokovich prize money throughout his career, just prize money. So that means when he wins or wins any matches, he made over 181 million.
In 1 year?
Not in 1 year, just in his career,
Got it.
just in prize money.
Mm.
So that has nothing to do with the sponsorships, endorsements, like ads, whatever he's doing. That's just strictly playing tennis. So I could only imagine how much they're making.
Yeah, I can imagine like him or like Serena Williams, just from the endorsement money alone, it's
Yeah.
got to be insane.
Yeah.
I think she's got a deal with Nike, maybe.
Yeah, she was. She definitely was. I don't know about now, but she definitely was.
Yeah. So would you say, because I mean, it sounds like pickleball, at least to me, is really taking over tennis. Would you maybe compare pickleball to tennis the same way you would compare the UFC to boxing? Because, for a while, the UFC fighters they were not making a ton of money compared to the boxing. And now the playing field is actually kind of leveling out a little bit where we're starting to see these bigger purses, the prize money, the contracts with the UFC. We're starting to see it increase and kind of close that gap between boxing and the UFC.
Yeah, that's an interesting way of viewing it. I would say yes to some extent and no to some extent, just because I do think there's a lot of similarities between tennis and pickleball and boxing and UFC. But pickleball, like once you really get down to what pickleball is, like it's not really that close to tennis, in my opinion. I do think it helps to have a tennis background to play pickleball, just like it would help to have some, boxing background if you go into UFC and vice versa. But pickleball itself is just, its own sport. So
Mhm.
maybe I wouldn't compare it to that. But I know a lot of pickleball players used to play tennis. So I understand, how you would kind of mix them up together. But I truly do believe pickleball itself like just stands out as its own sport.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I've been out there a handful of times. It's fun. I get it. And dude, like you don't have to be 25 and like jacked and in shape to like be decent at it. Like we go run games sometimes, and I'll see like 70-year-old ladies like with a torn ACL going out there and like
Yeah.
running some game,
Yeah.
which is pretty cool. And so I feel like everyone can relate to it. People of all ages, women and men, and I see it continuing to kind of trend in that direction in terms of like popularity. Do you agree?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I mean, 70-year-olds, playing really good pickleball. When I started, I was playing with my dad. He's not 70, he's probably like 52, 53 now. But we would play two 60-year-old ladies and we just get rocked like for the first couple weeks of playing. And then you go and the next time you get rocked by a 50-year-old, and you're like, oh my God, what is going on? So like a lot of the times, I'm better than them now.
Mhm.
But a lot of the times, like the age in pickleball doesn't correlate to like your skill level
Mhm.
necessarily. And so, you can go out there, look at somebody like, well, I'm in better shape, I'm taller, stronger, I'm fitter, and comes out and just beats you. I mean, you don't see that in any other sport really ever. But yeah, it's just its own thing. And I think it's, beautiful. So,
Yeah. Did you play other sports growing up?
well, I played tennis growing up,
Okay.
and coming from Spain, I played soccer, obviously. But I never trained for soccer. I always trained for tennis. I love tennis. And unfortunately, I stopped playing at the age of 16 because I wasn't as smart back then.
Mm.
But then again, that's kind of where it took me, and then it took me to play pickleball. And
Mm.
so super grateful for that.
Which one would you say is easier out of
Uh,
pickleball and tennis?
to play
Yeah.
at the highest level, I mean, it's got to be tennis, right? It's got to be tennis. I mean, to me, someone like Federer, Rafa Nadal, Jokovich, like they're just freak athletes. And even though, we have Jack Sock in pickleball now, for example, which is a freak athlete as well. He's not doing as good in pickleball now. Or like Ben Jones, for example, he's the best player in the world. But as far as like elite athlete goes, I don't think he's close, and neither am I to like a Novak Djokovic,
Mhm.
right? So when you have someone that's just that much of a freak on the court, it's got to be tennis,
Mm.
in my
It's as a
opinion.
more challenging sport, tennis,
Yeah,
to
yeah,
get to that level.
yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, dude, I'm always fascinated, like just being around and seeing just athletes in whatever sport it might be. I'm always inspired because I know, what it takes just to get to that next level and then to get to the pros is a whole nother ball game. So I don't know. I know personally, I'm excited to kind of see where everything goes. I'm curious, like when you guys play these matches and it's, you said it's two guys, two girls typically on a team. What does that look like? Do you guys play singles and then you play doubles and then you do kind of like a co-gender thing too?
Yeah, that's a good question. So usually starts with gender. So it could either be men's or women's. And then let's say you start with women's, and the following one will be men's. So that'll be the second match. Then you'll go into mixed doubles because you have two guys and two girls in each team. So then you'll like mix and match basically. Then you'll have a second mixed doubles. So by that time, you played 4 games or 4 matches. And if the score was to be 2-2 with wins and losses, then you would go into play a dream breaker, which is singles. So then you would put your lineup out. Could be like girl, guy, or it could be guy, girl, girl. And then they're going to do the same. And then now you're going to play another game. And now you could have competing a guy against a girl, or you could have a guy against a guy or a girl against a girl. And so it's a very cool format because you don't get to see guys competing against girls in sports that often,
Mm.
right? So then in pickleball, you have mixed doubles, which is already a mix of like, guy and girl versus guy and girl. But now with the Dream Breaker, you also have singles, which you would never see in any other sport. So it's like one girl against one guy. And
Mm.
I think that's awesome,
Yeah,
personally.
that makes sense. Your biggest partner in a real estate deal is always your lender. For me, I prefer using someone I know, like, and trust, whether you're looking for commercial loans, residential loans, bridge loans, DSCR loans, no debt to income ratio, no tax returns. My guy, Chris Groves, has got you. As seen on episode 77 and episode 142, Chris is a good friend of mine and is doing a special offer for podcast listeners, $2,500 off of your closing costs and or appraisal fees. Visit grovescapital.com/Rich Summers to book a free call. Again, it's grovescapital.com/Rich Summers to book a free call. Now back to the show. So you're going out to Minnesota this weekend, big tournament out there. Give me an idea of how many different teams you'll be competing against. And then if you make it to the championship game, how many matches will you have played personally just to get to the championship game?
Yeah, for sure. So this one will be a PPA. It's not going to be a progressive draw. Progressive means you play 1 match per day. So I'm gonna get there tomorrow. I'm gonna play on Saturday with my friend Deckel Bar. He's a beast.
Mm.
So I'm super excited. and I believe we're seeded 4 or something like that in the tournament. So that means we get a bye onto the second round. So I think it's either I think it's 64 teams, I believe. We'll get a bye into the round of 32. So then we'll play 32, 16, quarterfinals, and semifinals. So we'll have to play 5 matches to get to the finals. And then if we get there, then we'll play finals on Sunday.
Got it.
So that would be what, 6 matches?
Yeah.
Yeah, so 6 matches.
Is the bye always an advantage, or do you think the bye is like kind of an advantage because you get to warm up?
I actually think from a playing standpoint, the bye is not an advantage because I want to play as more matches as possible because for me, cardio is not a problem. So like just because I play one more match, I'm not gonna get more tired personally. So I would much rather play that first round. That said, though, usually by having a bye and you're seated higher, your draw might be slightly easier.
Okay, so like you guys are getting the bye in the round of 64. You're a 4 seed, so you'll probably play like a 28 seed. Is that in the
Correct.
okay?
Correct.
So you're still kind of getting like a little warm up there.
Yeah, you are, but honestly, like there's no better rep than like actually playing a game. You can warm up, you can do one-on-one things, you can do your stretches, you can do whatever you want, but there's nothing like an actual live ball
So
playing a
that
match.
28 seed that comes to play you guys in the second round, they could be warmed up and they could come in and take down the 4th seed. Like it happens.
Correct. It
Okay.
happens all the time. You know,
Okay.
like you've been sitting all day, you're
Yeah.
chilling, hanging out, you don't know what time you're gonna play, and then now you just get called out of nowhere. You haven't warmed up in like half an hour, and then this team is just like super hungry, nothing to lose. They just won their first match. They're pumped.
Yeah.
You're like, oh shit, you know. And a lot of the times those games go to 3 because they come out playing really good. You're still kind of trying to get your rhythm. You lose the first game, and now you're like, okay, now we really have to
You gotta
play
win. You
discipline.
gotta win back to back.
Yeah, exactly.
So you mentioned you're sitting around and they just call your name and be like, hey, you guys are on the court in 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Damn.
Yeah, so when it's not a progressive draw, you get to the venue. If you play at 10, you probably get to the venue at 9. You'll warm up, you do stretches, all this stuff, then you'll hit some balls, get ready. But really, you don't have a time that you're gonna play at. So
Mhm.
you might play a match at 10, and you might sit until they have another court ready and your opponents are ready. So then that could be 12.
Got it.
And you could be done by 10:30 and then play again at 12. So you just never really know. So you have to be ready at all times.
This tournament this weekend, is it all doubles or you'll play singles as well?
I personally don't play singles.
You don't at all. Why is
I
that?
don't. I think it's really hard on the body.
Because you're covering the whole court now versus just half.
You're covering the whole core. It's there's a lot of like twisting and turning, and it's really hard on the body. Your knees get jacked up, and so I'm 6'2", I'm 220 pounds. Like it's just not as easy for me to run around all day long as somebody that's like 5'9" and 160.
Mhm.
It's just a lot harder on my joints.
Mhm.
So that's the only reason why I don't play. I do like it. I'll practice it every now and then, but it's a lot harder for me right now than it would be if I was, way leaner, which I'm working on, or somebody that's just like super lean.
What percentage of these like top 10, top 15 players right now don't do singles?
I would say everyone in the top 10, but 2 or 3 people play singles.
Play singles.
Yeah, consistently.
Yeah.
So I would say 20 to 30% don't play singles in the top 10. But also like if singles is so hectic, anything could happen. You might be insanely good and you have someone that just gets hot that day and you lose. I don't know, like I would much rather have something that's more consistent. So I just get ready for my doubles. I kind of know, I have an idea how that's going to go. I can get extra ready for it and do my best at that one because that's what my best event is. Where if I play singles, I know that there's like 40 people that are as good as me, and there's 20 that are better than me maybe. And now I'm just kind of playing like, okay, who's going to play better this match? And that just doesn't sound very good to me.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. For someone out there maybe listening to this podcast that wants to get into pickleball, maybe it's myself. Someone's never played, or maybe they played a couple times and they want to get decent at it. What is the best way and the quickest path for someone to go from no experience to getting decent at it? What would you recommend for them to do?
Well, I would say I would recommend for someone to just actually go out there and play and spend a lot of time. It's just like anything, right? Like you can think about things, you can dream about it, you can kind of like, talk to your friends about it. But if you don't actually go and put in the time, you're just not going to get your return of investment, right? So you physically have to go to the court, be there for 3, 4 hours, whatever you can and want to do. And then I think that's just the best way of doing it. Whether you're drilling, whether you're uh, playing games, it doesn't matter. I just think you should go out there and actually practice with intent, or just play it, right? Because I think a lot of people spend a lot of time watching a video how to hit a shot. They spend an hour trying to figure it out, but then they go out for like half an hour or an hour and they hit that shot 3 times. It's not making you better. So
Mhm.
just actually being on the court is what makes you better, in my opinion.
Would you recommend hiring a coach or a trainer?
For someone brand new, I don't think so.
No.
I think you should just go out there, play, and then once you feel stuck, if you're like, okay, now I don't know what else to do, then yeah, hire a coach, tell him what you're missing, tell him what you want to work on. If he's a good coach, he'll, look at you and be like, I think this is what you need,
Hmm.
and get something out of that. But I don't think you would need a coach right away.
Yeah. Where do you see, I'm curious, just as an entrepreneur, I'm always thinking, okay, where's the opportunity?
Hmm.
So as a entrepreneur that maybe wants to go in and make some money in the pickleball industry, they're not going to be an athlete, they're not going to be a player. Where do you think the opportunity is in the pickleball industry as a business owner moving forward?
I think it has to do with what you already do. I think real estate.
Mm,
So if you're able to find like maybe like an indoor building and build some courts, I mean they're just gonna fill up so quick. So I would say if I could, I would just rent out a building and put in 16 courts or something, or whatever you can,
hmm.
and make it a club and make it nice and profitable. Hopefully, I think
Yeah.
I think that's like the best way of doing it, because there's just like, especially in San Diego here, there's like lack of courts. So a lot of the times I have good friends that have owned their own private court, and that's where we go play. But I would never ask my friend to do me that favor if there was other courts to play at. So I
Hmm.
think there's like scarcity of courts.
Yeah. And so then you could have kind of a subscription model to where you have members that pay monthly,
Hmm.
and then they can come and use the courts whenever. And then you probably have people that just want to get a day pass, right?
For sure.
What
Yeah.
are what are those other clubs out there charge for something like that?
It's a good question. I think a lot of clubs, I think the best way of doing it, in my opinion, would be to have the courts, have someone in the front desk who just kind of hanging out, right? Checking people in, and then have some sort of a scheduling website that you can just go and schedule the court. So that way it's just you have the courts, and then they pay you for the court, and then you forget about everything else. Because the courts are going to fill up. I mean, there's so many people that play. Like I can't go anywhere and just be like, oh, let me go play with my friend, right? Because
Yeah.
there's so many people and everyone wants to play. So I think the best way and the easiest way of doing it would be you have 8 courts, you just rent them out online. Just like, okay,
For like 2 hour segment or whatever.
yeah, like $20 an hour. It ends up being like what, $5 a person, 2 hours is $10 a person, and you just make like $80. I
Mm,
think that's the best way of doing it.
okay.
Forget about memberships.
Yeah.
Don't worry about memberships. Just like, because they're gonna fill up, so it doesn't even matter.
Mm,
Like you're just gonna have people playing there constantly.
interesting. I wonder if it would make sense or it'd be conducive with the business model to include kind of like weightlifting, some cardio, have all this other equipment there so people can, it's not just pickleball, but it's like you can go in there, get a workout in, you can play pickleball, you can do whatever the heck you want. Or would you just say, hey, focus solely on the pickleball and market solely as like, this is the pickleball place to be?
Yeah, you could go both ways, right? You could go like the lifetime way, which is that, right? You can go to lifetime, you have access to the courts if you want to, you can go to the gym if you want to once you have the membership, right? Or you could just have the pickleball courts. Could be just a tennis club that's outdoors, doesn't have to be indoors
Mhm.
necessarily, and just rent out the court. But I like that better, because otherwise it just takes a lot of managing.
Yeah. No,
Like a
that's true.
lifetime, it's always packed with workers,
Yeah.
where the other one you probably don't need to.
Yeah. Cool, dude. Well, hey, man, I appreciate you coming down, hanging out with me. And I know I'm excited to kind of see where your journey goes. I'll be rooting for you, man. And dude, I'd love to be a guest on your new podcast whenever you launch it.
No, I appreciate that, bro. Thank you so much. And yes, you will be.
Yep. He's DJ Young. I'm Rich Summers. Listeners, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.